Good morning, Andrei.
Hey, Yarden. Great to be back here.
Thank you for being here with us. Well, I think maybe, Accel is a venture capital firm that has been active in Israel for many years now. And I believe everyone in the room knows the firm. But for those who might not be familiar with every little detail, could you tell us a little bit about Accel and its connection to Israel?
Of course. So we're now in our 40th year. We're a global venture firm founded on the Stanford campus in Palo Alto. And we've been actually for 24 years here in London, where we cover Europe and Israel from. We've been early believers in Israel and the strength of the ecosystem, backing early companies such as Varonis, Fiverr, MyHeritage, then moving on to the Misto or SNCC, and recently investments in companies like Cyera or Oasis.
Okay, and when you look today on the Israeli ecosystem, what are you actually looking for? Which kind of investments? Where do you see the most significant potential? And won't you invest in today?
Sure. So, by virtue of us being a global firm with presence in the US, Europe, and India, in fact, we're looking to back global leaders. And on, we're drawn to Israel, given the strength of technical talent, especially here. Nir mentioned cyber. That continues to be the bright spot of a lot of our activity here. And if you look at our global cyber portfolio, and we backed more than 40 companies in this field, the majority of them come from Israel. And I don't need to tell you about the strength of the various unit programs here, whether it's 8200 or 81 or Talpiot Aram, many elite programs where founders not only get the requisite technical training, but also the right connectivity and mentorship such that when they're out of the gates, we see a very different level of sophistication for first-time founder teams versus what we may see outside of Israel. The other point I would mention is, and it's always been the case in Israel, but I think it's accelerated over the past few years, this phenomenon of talent, let's call it recycling, where operators who've grown in marquee companies have learned the ropes, have managed large teams, have worked on meaningful products, decide to take the leap and become founders themselves. And for sure, we've seen that a lot in cyber, both repeat founders and by virtue of Palo Alto's acquisitions and many others. You have many founders who sold some of their first companies early on and then decide to build the next one bigger and better. But also folks spinning out from the likes of SentinelOne or Checkpoint with senior leadership experience, but still the grit and hunger to build something new. What's also changed and evolved positively, I would say, in the last few years is the increasing diversity and I would say durability of the ecosystem. Beyond cyber, we're seeing a lot in fintech, in fact, and whether it's PayPal making their inroads here and us backing a number of companies coming from there, or Rapid. Crypto has been strong despite the ups and downs, and you have Fireblocks, Starkware, iconic companies who are built in Israel. So it's we're not just coming for cyber, we're coming for, in general, the strength of the talent, and we're excited to invest more here.
What about AI?
For sure. So if you look globally at our AI investment activity, and we're, of course, very bullish about the prospects for AI, we divide the world in maybe one or, let's say, two or three categories. Whether you look at the foundational model companies, this middleware layer, and the application side. On the foundational model side, I would say most of the activity has been West Coast centric, as well as in Europe, primarily in London and Paris, where you have strong teams at DeepMind or Facebook, particularly in Paris. And we've seen on the pure research side, more of the innovation can come from outside of Israel. Where we do see a lot of strength in Israel in AI particularly is on the more applied side, where there's a big journey to be traveled from a research paper to actually reproducing those results to actually building a product to actually selling that product. And I find the Israeli teams are very good at that middle and final stages where this applied technical experience really matters in packaging a product and also selling it well. And we've seen really exciting teams apply AI to parts of financial services, to developer tooling, to improve operations, sales enablement as well. And we see many areas of software being permeated by AI and being reinvented right now, and I see a strong role for Israel to play there.
Well, I think it's impossible to talk about Israel today without mentioning the ongoing war. And how has this event affected your activities in the country and your portfolio companies?
Certainly, we've stayed supportive and understanding of the tough situation on the ground. In general, we've been really impressed with the resilience and real passion Israeli founders have in the face of adversity. And I have to say, I've been really impressed to see how a lot has changed, but also not much has changed since the events. Companies are continuing to focus a lot on scaling. Founders keep coming to raise their first rounds and build companies. If anything, that may have applied an even kind of extra notch of like focus and urgency, and also perhaps this element of being mission driven. But we continue to invest. We've done several investments since the events, and also that's a more practical dimension. Many of the companies we back tend to have R&D in Israel and their go-to-market operations in the US. So we actually haven't noticed much slowdown or change on the sales front, because many of these teams continue to keep humming and hire in the US.
Well, and when you look at the Israeli ecosystem, you see any difference between the challenges it faces, like comparing to other scene of tech worldwide?
Yeah, sometimes I say the unique set of circumstances creates opportunities and some challenges. Some of the opportunity that can become a challenge is that there are so many smart people and great people at math or computer science or physics that sometimes you see founding teams who are all that, and it's sometimes the go-to-market talent comes a bit in shortage, and certainly that's also as a result of these dual HQ businesses, like Palo Alto earlier, right? Commercial in the US, R&D in Israel. So there's not a huge pipeline of talent on the commercial side in Israel. And that's fine, because that's where we come into the scene to help and support these founders hire in the US. But you do need some commercial thinking, aggressiveness on behalf of the founders to really pursue that. So I would say it's more of a muscle that I wish in certain cases would be stronger, but we definitely see enough of that. Another aspect, I would say this is perhaps more of an overhang from 2021, is there was a wave for a couple of years where a lot of companies would be started, not necessarily with a differentiated product offering, or let's say for every interesting kind of new idea in cyber, there'll be a dozen others trying to replicate. And 2-3 years back, most of these would get funded. Many of them would get bought. And I think that's starting to settle down a bit. So I think it's a good development. The bar being raised a bit when it comes to building a differentiated offering, making sure your company is durable and the success doesn't rely on a big round coming down the road or being bought out. So you want to, I find in this environment with the macro uncertainty, you just want to be an owner of your destiny, perhaps to a larger extent, and being more thoughtful before you decide to embark on the journey, to decide what you're looking to build, how it's going to be unique, how you're going to capitalize the business, I think is important.
And if you need to mention one thing that the Israeli ecosystem can do better, what it would be?
Yeah, I think the story is only starting to get written, right? Where we're coming after many years of incredible successes and some really iconic companies emerging from Israel, where it's like of Palo Alto or SentinelOne or others outside of cyber. And something tells me this could only be the beginning. I think it's great to see when you have generations of entrepreneurs keep raise the bar for future generations. That would get me really excited. Right? Israel has always benefited from actually a small domestic market and strong ties to the US, and companies have global ambitions from day one. And I love for that to continue and the bar keep getting higher in terms of the size of the companies we founders want to build.
Andrei, thank you very much.
Thank you.